Welcome to EngineeringTechnologyPress.com. I'm Eric. I want to make some Welsh cakes today for a trip on the weekend, and so I'm going to grind some grain and then put it together. So we'll start with grinding the grain in the homemade grist mill that you can produce using the plans on the Engineering Technology Press website. And we'll grind about 3 cups of grain. So I'll just do it in one pass through, and once I'm done I'll come back and show you how we put it together. Okay, welcome back. So we finished grinding the grain and producing the flour. And it's not a super fine flour, it's a little bit rough, but I just did it in one pass through. So we've got 4 cups of the flour, and we've got a little bit left over for maybe some bread tonight. We'll add that to the spices and baking powder, secret ingredient, sugar. Growing up, Welsh cakes were devoured when my mother would make them, except for one batch. She could never quite figure why there wasn't the demand for them that they usually were. Usually my brother and I would sneak them, and they disappear pretty quickly, but this one batch didn't seem to do that. Just was something missing. It's only later that figured out that she'd forgot to put in the sugar. So we'll add the raisins too, or we can add other dried fruit as well. We've had that mixed in. Dried cranberries are nice for a change. You do that, usually a little bit of orange zest is nice in there. We'll take, and for this, usually you'd add shortening or butter. I've got extra venison tallow. So one of the tricks when you're using tallow, usually with shortening you'd cut it in and chill it and cut it in until about pea size with the pastry cutter. Tallow doesn't cut in nicely like that. It's too hard. As you can probably see, it cuts much more like a hard wax. So what I found the trick to be, handling it, is to freeze it and then shave it like this. So you're not going to cut it and break it into the pieces in the bowl itself. Instead you're going to do that on the cutting board. Put it into those pea-sized pieces, or thereabouts. Some are a little bit larger, some are a little bit smaller. Don't want massive pea-sized pieces. Okay. And that goes fairly quickly, and then you get a fairly nice result. And if you hunt quite often, left over, especially if you're not making sausage or something like that, using the tallow might go to waste. So easy to render it, and then you usually end up with quite a bit extra. So mix that in. Spot a piece or two of the tallow. A little bit big, break it up. Cracks pretty easily and isn't all that sticky until you get it warmed up, and then it starts to stick to stuff. So by the time it starts to warm up, you want to have it mixed in. That way it's covered with the flour. It doesn't really matter anymore. But you're certainly not going to use a pastry cutter to get it to work well. It doesn't happen with this. That I found. They're a little bit large. So we got those mixed to the dry ingredients mixed together with our fat. And if you don't have the tallow, you can use shortening or you can use butter. We mix in the egg and milk mixture. So I'll mix this in, we'll get a nice pastry, and once that's fully incorporated, I'll roll it out here on the board and cut some rounds, and then I'll bring you back when we're frying it up in the griddle. Okay, so the Welsh cakes have been rolled out so that they're about ½ inch thick. You don't need to, the first batch, it's a little bit hard sometimes to get the right level of attention. You've got enough fat in them that you don't need to grease your skillet. These are actually a little bit overdone on some of these, but so grill them until they're done on both sides. They should be a little bit golden brown. Put them on your drying rack if you can wait, and enjoy an awesome treat. And they've got some fat in them, but they're also nutritious with all of the whole wheat flour. And you can also make this with whole barley flour as well, or try your other grain options.